Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to my new channel, Board Squadron. I am your host, Board Leader. I'll also go by the Ion. Today's very first video, I want to introduce you guys to one of my favorite games ever. Star Wars, the Living Card Game. By Fantasy Flight for 1 to 2 players. One, because there is a solitaire version, you could play against yourself as a game. Mainly it's one-on-one, or if you buy an expansion, Balance of the Force, you can do 2-on-2, or 1 against 2, or 1 against 3. What a very fun aspect. It is a dark time for the galaxy. The Galactic Empire has consolidated its dominion through the might of the Imperial Navy. In the underworld of the Empire's most populated planets and in strongholds throughout the Outer Rim, powerful gangsters rule vast criminal organizations. From the shadows, those lost to the grip of the dark side of the Force scheme to bring their evil designs to bear on an already oppressed galaxy. Yet not all hope is lost. The Rebel Alliance resists the iron grip of the Empire. Smugglers and other fringe elements lend their aid to the rebellion. And unknown to the Emperor and its dark minions of the Sith, the last remnants of the noble Jedi Order work tirelessly to restore peace and order to the galaxy. As this game mainly consists of a 1 versus 1 player, the light side versus the dark side, players take charge of their decks to bring the balance of the Force to their side, to rule or stop the Emperor's threat. If you are the light side player, you take on one of 3 affiliations. You can be part of the Rebel Alliance, the Jedi Order, or a smuggler and spy. Your objective is to either deck out your opponent or you take out 3 of the dark side's objectives. If you're a dark side player, you belong to one of 3 colored affiliations. The Empire, Imperial Navy, a bounty hunter, or the Sith. Your objective, either deck out your opponent, or the better way is complete your Death Star dial to get to 12. You do that, you win. Now the deck building for either player goes the same. You will have 2 different decks, but the 2 different decks come with a objective set. It will be 6 cards. One of the cards will be your objective. This will be its own deck. You'll have at least 10 of these in deck building. You'll have objective deck, and you'll have your command deck. It consists of the 5 other cards in that objective set. If I want to use any of these cards, or this objective, I have to use the rest. It is all or nothing. The command set, or command deck, will consist of the following things. Units. Units could be anything as creatures, droids, or the characters in the Star Wars universe. You'll have enhancements, like field upgrades, location settings, or maybe even a lightsaber to give to your Luke Skywalker. They'll either go to your player, and it will tell you on the card. For example, this one, enhance a Force user or Force sensitive unit. This one, Dagobah Training Grounds, enhances your play area. And this is good because it gives you 1 extra resource for playing cards. And this particular objective does not have an event. Events are one-time uses. You pay the cost, which would be the top left, do its effect, and discard it. As we've already said, the cost to play any card is on the top left. These Force icons will help you in either an edge battle, which is during conflict or the battle phase, or the Force commitment, or forced struggle. It's part of the same phase, but it's the very last phase for a player's turn. We'll talk about that in a second. Continue on briefly. We also have the dark side player, simulated by the red. One of his objectives, the Emperor's Web, which will also consist of 5 other cards. One of these plus 9 more will make 10. These 5 plus the other 45 will make at least your minimum of 50 cards. And the 2 decks are always separate. This one does have an event, like Force Lightning. If the dark side player pays 3 resources, he can destroy a target exhausted unit. While we're still here, I want to mention this. Now, from the 2 previous examples that we've used already, a Hero's Journey will provide 2 resources. We'll get more into that in a little second. While the Emperor's Web only gives 1 resource. The objective health is this number on the bottom left. 4 health for each of these objectives before they are discarded and not used again. Along with the player's 3 objectives, they also will use 1 affiliation, 1 color. However, your deck, for a dark side example, may have some blue Imperial Navy objectives. This is allowed. However, when you want to play a card during the deployment phase, at least 1 resource of the same affiliation has to match. In order to play this Navy Darth Vader, at least 1 resource has to be from the Imperial Navy objective. But with this, and my 2 other objectives, hopefully I'll have 5 to play Darth Vader. On each affiliation, you have your 6 phase sequences. I'll talk about these briefly before showing you an in-depth version of how these all look. I will do it as a 2-turn each round game. Phase 1, the balance. Whichever side controls the force at the start of their turn gets a bonus to their effect in the balance phase. If you are the light side, you get to deal the damage to 1 dark side enemy objective. However, if you're the dark side player and your turn starts, you are allowed 1 extra movement toward progress on your Death Star. Phase 2 is the refresh phase. This essentially helps ready up your units, objectives, and any enhancements. You will take off 1 focus token, which are used to exhaust units or enhancements or objectives. Each card with at least 1 focus token will only remove 1, unless they have a keyword elite. If you are elite, you get to remove 2 focus tokens off that character, enhancement, or objective a turn, helping you ready it even faster. The draw phase. You discard 1 card from your hand, and you draw back up to or discard back to your starting reserve, which is always 6, unless you have an enhancement or objective, which gives you even more. Deployment phase. This is when you spend focus tokens to put on cards with a resource. This card may have 2 focus tokens placed on it to spend 2 resources for a character. Earlier in our example, for Luke, this card could pay for Luke twice as fast, and we free up our other objectives. However, for the next turn, since this card isn't elite, it'll be exhausted even longer for 1 extra turn. You could only use cards that have resources and are ready. So, for example, if you have 1 focus token on this already, and it's your next turn, you are not allowed to use the second resource because this is not completely ready. So it's either all or nothing, but doing it slower is better to free this up faster. The conflict phase. Allowed to use any unit that is ready, meaning no focus tokens on it, to attack, and you target one enemy objective. They have 3. You choose the one you want to attack. During the same conflict phase, you have to target the different objectives. You're not allowed to call 2 different attacks in the same turn at the same objective. And finally, the force phase. This is when you commit your units to the force, thereby saying that they're being taken out from the front lines to further the cause for your side. If a unit is ready and committed to the force, you count the force icons next to the character's picture. 3 force icons versus a dark side player's any character that is also committed. As long as each side has a character ready and committed, you use these in the force struggle. The first part is the commitment. Whoever's turn it is gets to commit any character they have. There are only 3 though, 3 for each side. So you have to do it wisely. You're not allowed to change your mind, take it off later. Some special cards will do it later. Otherwise, you're not allowed to. So pick carefully. By doing this also, when you're using a conflict phase, any unit committed to the force will always, no matter what, take a 2 force icons when it is their turn to attack. But during the force phase, you count up your ready ones against the dark side player. Whoever has the most gains control of the balance of the force for the next round. If a unit is committed but exhausted, they do not count towards the force struggle. Let me just get this all put away and set up, and let's get a couple turns going as an example for you to see how it works. 2 dark side turns versus and 2 light side turns. Now we have a full setup on our table right here. First step, each player will choose their force allegiance. Does someone want to be the dark side of the force or the light side of the force? After doing so, you select and create your decks. I've already kind of done this out of step just to have this done already. Then you reveal your affiliations. We'll be using the Sith, and we'll also be using, in this example, the Jedi. After doing so, you set the balance of the force. Balance of the force is this token, and it will always start on the light side of the force. It is their turn advantage for the dark side player always going first. And their Death Star dial always starts at 0. Then we have some tokens set aside here. We got some 3 damage. We got some 1 damage. We also have shields and focus tokens, respectively. Then we select objectives. To do so, from your objective deck, you select the top 4, you draw the top 4, and you're only going to select 3. The one you do not choose goes onto the bottom of your objective deck. After you pick objectives, you draw your starting hand. As we mentioned earlier, your starting reserve is 6. You draw the top 6 cards of your deck, and you are allowed, in this game, 1 mulligan. How a mulligan works is you discard your whole hand, shuffle it back into the deck. There is no keeping 1 or 2 cards. They go back into the deck. And you must take the mulligan. Our 6 here. And the light side player will definitely keep their hand. Not for any particular reason, except just to show you whether a mulligan or not a mulligan. Then after doing so, each player will then reveal their objectives. We have Fall of the Jedi. Reaction. After your draw phase begins, place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. This is not a forced reaction, so you are allowed to do this, or you don't have to. It has a reaction, so it happens after your draw phase begins. Essentially, you do it before you draw in the hopes of drawing 2 better cards. Reduce the cost of the first Sith event card you play each turn by 1. That symbol we know is the Sith, as per the affiliation symbol matches. So the first Sith event we play each turn by 1 is reduced. Then, looking for droids. You may ignore resource match requirements when playing cards from your hand. This card will help us to bypass, in the earlier example, using a blue for a red resource. The light side player has chosen their 3 objectives: last minute rescue, reaction. After you refresh, remove a damage from a target unit. This will help us heal. Hero's Journey. It has 4 health, but it gives us those 2 resources that we were talking about. No effect. Following Fate. While you control 3 or more Jedi examples, again with the matching affiliation, while you control 3 or more Jedi objectives and this objective is undamaged, increase the cost of each event card played by an opponent by 1. This will help us to increase the cost for dark side players' events. Only if it's undamaged. Once this takes damage, this is essentially useless until you get rid of it. Dark side players' first turn. The first phase is the balance phase. The balance of the Force, or the Death Star dial, goes up 1. If the balance of the Force was with the dark side player, they would get to go an extra 1. However, for the first turn, it is only 1. Next is the refresh phase. During the first turn, this is skipped, as there are no focus tokens to take off. Next is the draw phase. We have Sith Library, a probe droid, Viper probe droid, Emperor Palpatine, Viper probe droid, and Sith Warrior. We are allowed to discard 1 card from our hand in the hopes of drawing a better card. I'll probably discard Emperor Palpatine as he costs 6, and our resources on the table give us 5. And now, the deployment phase. We will exhaust the Sith affiliation to play a Sith library. It is also important to note enhancements or units are available right away. They do not take a turn to exhaust or to ready. They're available right away. So starting was 4. Now, next turn it will be 5. But we still have 4 resources to work with. Let's put out 1, 2, a probe droid, and use 2 more resources to play the other Viper probe droid. So the dark side player will start with 2 probe droids. And I might just move this out of the way just a little. Just for this example, or it looks like I could place it here. These cards are fate cards. These are only used during the conflict phase. This is the only time. Think of it as like they're gaining strategy or gaining the upper hand before the actual fight begins. And they'll always have they'll have different effects for some of them. Next is the conflict phase. Because the light side player has yet to play any units, this phase is always skipped for the dark side player. Next is the force phase. First, we have to force commit something. If a force struggle ends in a tie, the balance of the force will not change. So, we will commit a weak Viper probe droid to the dark side of the force. And we have 1 ready unit versus their none. This allows us to change the balance of the force to the dark side. And now it is the light side player's turn. Light side player's turn. 1. Balance phase. If the balance of the force started on our side, which is not, we would have been able to damage one dark side objective. Then refresh phase. Again, nothing to remove, refresh, since it is only the first round. Next is the draw phase. We have Believer in the Old Ways, Dagobah Training Grounds, Counterstroke, Makashi Training, Target of Opportunity, and a Twi'lek Loyalist. We will discard the Twi'lek Loyalist in the hopes of drawing a better card. The light side player has 2, 3, 4, 5 available to start with. We will copy the dark side and use 1 resource to play a Dagobah Training Grounds. It will give us 6 at the start of our next turn. We'll use 2 resources to play a Believer in the Old Ways for 2. Next, we will use 1 extra. It's a little risky, but we're gonna try it. The Jedi Lightsaber. Enhance a Force user or Force sensitive unit, and that unit will gain 2 icons, which we will talk about in a second. The Believer in the Old Ways is Force sensitive. Now, let's talk about icons real quick. Now, there are 3 different types of icons. When a unit is focused to strike, they will have icons on them. That unit will only do those actions. The Twi'lek Loyalist, in the example that we discarded earlier, will deal a damage to an enemy participating unit, or he can add a focus token, one of these, to tire out one of the dark side player's cards. It could be in battle or out of battle. The gun icon is always to the units that are in battle. Believer in the Old Ways has the gun icon and a blast icon or a bomb icon. Again, this will only target units in a battle, and the blast icons are what used to damage enemy objectives. Now, as you can see, 1 icon is black, 1 icon is white. This unit will always get this icon no matter what. They have to win a conflict edge battle in order to use the white icons. So the Jedi Lightsaber will give her 2 unit damage and 1 blast and 1 edge blast. The Twi'lek Loyalist, if he's participating in a fight, has to win the edge battle in order to do either one of, well, not either, it's really both, to do both of his battle effects. We have 2 more resources, but we might want to save them later for this event, which we could possibly use on the dark side player's turn. This one says, interrupt. When an event is played, cancel its effects. So this will definitely be worth it. We could have given her another up onto the conflict phase. The light side player will attack the Emperor's web. It has 4 health. They declare attackers. Light side player can use any and all of their ready units. In this particular fight, there's only 1. Believer in the Old Ways. The dark side player can choose to defend, or they can choose to just let it go. As the Believer in the Old Ways has 2 health, these guys would have to win, but even then, with this defense, if this card wanted to defend, it only has a blast icon. It will do no good as a defender, as this unit only damages. It has an effect that we may play this unit from our discard pile as if it were in our hand. The dark side player also has the probe droid, interrupt. When this unit leaves play, deal 1 damage to a target enemy objective. The dark side player will defend with that. Now comes the edge battle. Starting with the active player, the light side, they choose any of their cards in their hand, And we're going to be looking for these force icons. These are what is used in a force edge battle. If our pile has more force icons than the other player, we win the edge battle and are enabled our edge icons. Edge enabled icons. This fate card, which is only used in conflicts, has the effect target of opportunity. If you are the attacking player, deal 1 damage to the engaged objective. This is no good as a defense card, but since we're attacking, we will add it face down. The dark side player, unbeknownst to the light side, has the supporting fire. Target friendly player may place 1 non-fate card from his hand into your edge stack. So it's good if this was a team card, or let's put it as an example. They're going to use this card as their edge stack. It is now up to the light side player again. They can choose to keep adding to this, or they can pass the turn. Players take turns placing edge cards in their edge stack until both players pass. Light side player plays, dark side will pass, light side will also pass. It's pretty good that our 2 will beat their 1. Both players flip their edge stacks. Light side player has 4, dark side player has 1. This card and this card are both fate cards. Both players will activate these in ascending order. Supporting fire. Now, because the dark side player only has 2 cards left in their hand, each worth 1, and the light side player has 4, adding 1 of these from their hand later will not do any good. So they're not going to do on this effect. Discard pile. Light side player has the target of opportunity, so they will get to achieve this no matter what. They deal 1 damage to the Emperor's Web. And now, because the light side player gets to go first, they get their edge enabled icons. They have 2 unit damage from the 2 guns, and this unit only has 1. So this probe droid will be destroyed. However, when it leaves play, deal a damage to a target enemy objective. The dark side player wanted to sacrifice this to deal a damage to the light side players following fate. Because this objective is damaged, that 1 resource extra the dark side player will have to play doesn't count anymore. Along with the 2 unit damage, they have 2 bomb blast damage. So they get 2 more damage upon the Emperor's Web. And they are focused to strike. At the end of the conflict phase, if the dark side player had more cards to defend with, they would take turns doing so until each participating unit is exhausted. In this example, since the light side player defeated all the dark side players' objectives or units, they deal what is called unopposed damage. They get 1 free extra damage to the objective. And now, since the Emperor's Web has accumulated 4 or more damage, it is destroyed. And the light side places it in their victory pile. If the light side player could get 2 more dark side objectives, they win the game. Next is the force commitment phase. Since this unit is exhausted, it will do no good to commit to their force, so they will pass this turn. Dark side player, turn 2. For the balance phase, the Death Star dial goes up by 1. Because the balance of the force stayed with the dark side, they will get to advance 1 step closer to the completion of their Death Star. Refresh phase. Remove 1 focus token from each card on your field. Next is the draw phase. With only 2 cards in our hand, we will choose to discard Sith Warrior in the hopes of drawing a better card. Telekinetic Strike. 501st Trooper. Join me. Force Choke. And Imperial Suppression. Next is the deployment phase. So they have this event. They will pay 2 costs for. 1, 2. Join me. Play only during your deployment phase. Action. Take control of a target non-unique character unit. A character is unique or non-unique in their name. A unit like a believer in the old ways isn't really a unique character, as there can be more than one of this in the universe, where Emperor Palpatine is unique based on this symbol here. There is only one Emperor Palpatine. There will not be 2 in the Star Wars universe. Like the Emperor's Royal Guard will have 2. So multiple unit versus a non-unique unit. However, unbeknownst to the dark side player, goes away, the light side player will use the last card in their hand. They use 1 resource to pay for this card. Counterstroke. Interrupt. When an event card is played, such as Join Me was an event, right there, we cancel its effects. So they do not take control of the Believer in the Old Race. A little upset about that, the dark side player will use a Force Choke action. Deal 1 damage to a target character or creature unit. The character or creature will be a trait. Character, Force sensitive. Because as an off example, you can't Force Choke a droid. So we'll deal 1 damage to the Believer in the Old Ways, taking her halfway down to health. Since we still have examples, they use 2. And we forgot to give the dark side player their 3rd objective. You always give the player that has 1 lost to refill it up. Dark Lord of the Sith. While you control 3 or more Sith objectives, this objective gains reaction. After your opponent's conflict phase begins, he must place 1 focus token on a ready non-vehicle unit he controls. Limit 1 per turn. I know that might be much, but basically on the light side player's turn, we could exhaust 1 just by intimidation before they start their conflict phase. However, since we have 2 Sith objectives and 1 neutral, as simulated by the white, we do not gain this effect. So we use 2 resources to play the 501st Trooper. This unit gains a blast while it is attacking a Hoth objective. None of the light side player's objectives are Hoth at the moment, and we have 3 more cards in our hand to use. If we were to attack, the light side player cannot defend as all their cards are exhausted. But we could probably get some free damage in while we're here. The Viper Pro Droid will attack the light side player. Light side player cannot defend. We have no fate cards to add to our edge stack, but we will have already won. The Viper Pro Droid does 1 edge enable blast damage, and we will be targeting the hero's journey. Because we are unopposed, we add 1 additional damage. Because the Viper Pro Droid is committed to the Force, he will take 2 focus tokens for that attack. We'll keep the 501st Trooper, and he will skip the Force phase as he already takes control and light side player can't commit. It is now time for the light side player's 2nd turn. Balance phase. This phase is skipped as the balance of the Force is with the dark side. Refresh phase. 1 focus token is removed from every card in play on your side of the table. Draw phase. We have an empty hand, so we're going to draw back up to our starting reserve of 6. Targeted strike is a keyword that lets you target units not participating in the battle. Weapon Mastery, Noble Sacrifice, T16 Skyhopper, Old Band Spirit, an enhancement on a character unit, and I Am a Jedi. They will use 3 resources, 2, 3, to play the T16 Skyhopper. One to play another T16 Skyhopper. We will use 1 resource to give her Old Band Spirit. Attachment, enhance a character unit. Interrupt. When an enhanced unit would be destroyed, instead discard this enhancement and remove all damage from that unit. Essentially keeps them alive longer, as this is their shield. Seeing as they need 2 more objectives to win, and seeing as how these units have blast icons, the light side now advances to the conflict phase. Because he does not have 3 Sith objectives, that one does not take effect. So that one we will be targeting first. Light side player will commit the Luke's T16 and the regular T16 to this battle. The dark side player will commit 1, the 501st Trooper. Starting with the edge, the light side player places this card face down. The dark side player places 1 face down. The light side then places another. The dark side will play another one as well. The light side player will skip, so will the dark side. As the light side is attacking, they have 3 versus the dark side's 3. In the event of a tie, the tie goes to the defender. So in this case, the dark side player will get to go first. The cards used in the edge stack are discarded with no fate cards. The light side player uses 1 unit damage and 1 blast. Again, doesn't count as defender. So they will use their 1 damage to take out the T16 Skyhopper. The defender strikes back with 1 unit damage and 1 blast. However, they are able to use their targeted strike to attack the Viper Pro Droid. But in this case, they'll just target the 501st Trooper and the objective. Dark side player has no more defenders. Light side player has no more attackers in that battle. They may choose to target a second objective and continue the conflict phase with Believer. But this time they will just commit to the Force. Things are looking kind of slow for the light side player. The dark side player is almost halfway to completing their objective. It would be the dark side player's 3rd turn, and while they lost control of the Force in the first round, they have to make it extra slower, but they are about to get and play Darth Vader. Now play continues in this order until either the light side has taken out 3 dark side objectives, or the dark side player has gotten their Death Star to 12. Well, thank you guys for joining me in my play example. Stay tuned as I have planned for this weekend a game with my best friend and lover of this game as well to give you the full battle and how it will go. I will be playing the dark side. I'm not going to tell you what my affiliation will be. Remember, it could be the Sith, the Bounty Hunters, or the Imperial Navy. I have no idea what my friend is choosing, but it's going to be fun. I know you'll enjoy it. Thank you, and may the dice be with you.